Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Passwordless, the Future of Authentication. My name is Kieran Hayes. I'm Pre-Sales Manager here at CommSec, and I want to start by giving a big thank you to everyone for joining us today. I must say the response to the webinar has been fantastic, and it's one of our best attended webinars so far. I am delighted to see so many familiar faces attending and to see some new ones as well. Just a quick note, we will be providing you with the recording after the session, so you will be able to circulate that around to your teams. So today's webinar will focus on what we believe is one of the most critical areas of security, authentication. Love them or hate them, passwords have been around forever, and as we know, they continue to be a weak point in security and a root cause of data breaches. A set of credentials can open the door to your most personal information, or indeed the crown jewels of a business. So just taking a quick look at the agenda. So in terms of the agenda, we will introduce CommSec and our partner Duo. We're going to review the concept of passwordless, the challenges associated with passwords and current authentication methods. We'll look at Duo's passwordless vision, other steps we can take to improve access security, and finally, we will end with a brief demo. So just for the viewers that are not familiar with CommSec, CommSec were founded in 2013. We are an MSP with 100% focus on cybersecurity, and we currently employ 25 full-time employees. Our customers include SMEs and both public and private sector organizations. We provide managed services, including SOC, SIEM, EDR, CISO and DPO as a service, and pen testing, as well as vulnerability scanning management via our own platform, CheckScan+. CommSec are very proud to partner with Duo, who are a world leader in access security, and we currently have over 1,000 users deployed with our Duo managed service offering. I'm really pleased to have Slavka Bila from Duo delivering the main content today. Slavka is product marketing lead at Duo and carries a wealth of experience in dealing with both multinational and small business. Slavka has seen the evolution of digital authentication personally at Duo, including the future of authentication, and that future is passwordless. So Slavka, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kieran, for great introduction. And glad to be here. So as Kieran mentioned, Duo is a secure access provider, and we are part of Cisco. Our mission is really summarized on this slide here. So we are here to democratize security by making it easy and effective for all. It's quite a loaded statement, a lot packed in there. So what do we mean by that? So let me just explain it on a very, very quick story. So when you leave your home for a shop, you basically, and you want to make and keep it secure, you lock the door, you close the window, you make sure that every access point is protected. And we can apply the same when we're talking to company security, specifically applying this to security of your data, your applications, your systems, right? If you want to keep them safe and secure, you make sure that every access point is protected. And this is what, Duo is here to do. And our mission is to do it as easily as possible, make it easy for IT admins, make it easy for the users. So just very quickly, covering what we do. We establish trust, and how we do this. We verify identities of users and health of their devices before we provide access to applications. We enforce trust-based access, so we do that by a variety of security policies that you can deploy either by application or globally. And we want to make sure that we do continuously verify trust. So even if situation changes, that you can basically rapidly react to that to maintain the desired level of security. So this is Duo in a nutshell. So why passwordless? Why are we here? So as Kieran mentioned, problems with passwords are very well known. So we are not going to spend a long on this slide. It suffices to say that passwords have been around for more than 60 years, and they haven't really, technology has evolved and passwords are still here. So there are basically a couple of stats that we wanted to share with you to illustrate this point, right? So help desk people can spend their time more efficiently rather than basically dealing with password-related issues. Then another quite alarming statistics is the amount of passwords that actually we use on daily basis. There is no way that we can remember those passwords, right? So password recycling is very common, and that is actually, very big imposition on security. And lastly, but I suppose perhaps most importantly, the last statistics is about the percentage of breaches that involve weak and stolen credentials. So all of these rather alarming statistics, and I suppose the key reason why passwordless is a solution that many companies are seriously looking at the moment. So how would we define passwordless? One of the, I suppose, very important things is to start with definitions. So we have been looking at passwordless for a while. And when we started, we have seen that there are different definitions floating around and different ways of execution as well. So passwordless doesn't mean removing or hiding password from the authentication flow. It is about complete removal from the authentication flow. So effectively what we are doing, we are removing the shared secret, so something that, that we know, the password, from the flow, and we are replacing it with something that we are. So it's our biometrics, right? So facial scan, fingerprint, or Touch ID, and something that we have. So it's our phone or YubiKey to get to applications. So it's a combination of those two. And I would like to talk a little bit about promise of passwordless, because it is something quite unique when it comes to security, because security, I mean, more security solutions you bring in, effectively you're bringing in, few barriers, right? So users may take a little bit longer to get to the application that they want to, but passwordless actually removes that friction, because it just combines, two steps into one, and we'll talk about this in a minute. So it reduces friction, but it actually increases security because you are removing that weak credential. And just very quickly on the technical aspect of passwordless. So passwordless involves asymmetric cryptography. And this is basically the existence of public and private key that belong to a particular user. And they're used to encrypt and decrypt the messages. And this is fundamental part of passwordless solution, because to illustrate this, how it actually is used. So Kieran, if you want to send me a message and send it in a secure way, you would take a public key that is in the public domain that belongs to me to encrypt that message, send it to me to ensure that it actually arrives unaltered and that nobody has seen it. And then only I, as the owner of the private key, can open that message. So asymmetric cryptography is a fundamental part of passwordless, and we'll be covering this a little bit further down the line. So why now? There are a number of reasons why now, as I mentioned on the previous slide, but I suppose the three key reasons are the prevalence of a smartphone, right? Many of us have this in our pockets, and this also is very prevalent also in emerging markets. Modern phones have Touch ID and Face ID enabled, right? So we can actually verify identities of users. And then another thing is the biometric technology is actually more advanced than it was before. It is not a new technology. It has been around for quite a few years now, but I remember a colleague talking about using a gummy bear and pressing it against biometric reader instead of his finger, and he was actually let through. And that was quite a few years ago. It wouldn't happen now. So yeah, technology is far more advanced. And then the last thing is the existence of a secure enclave on the phone. It is hardware-based key storage area. So this is where your private key actually lives that unlocks or decrypts the messages. So these three things are sort of the key things of sort of why passwordless technology is, I suppose, ready, mature now. So what are the key challenges that we are seeing around passwordless? So it is important to talk about challenges because every new technology comes around with certain new challenges that we need to be prepared for, right? So firstly, it's slightly confusing. I've mentioned that there are a few definitions of passwordless. There are a few players in the market, and companies that are considering this solution need to understand who to trust and how to make that selection. So that's first part. Then it's a journey because passwords have been around for 60 years, so they're not going to be removed or basically go within a day. IT stacks are complex. Many companies have complex environments. They have undergone mergers and acquisitions. They have many identity providers. So they will need to take this incrementally. And passwordless also has user experience issues that we need to recognize and prepare for. So we need to basically make sure that IT help desks have been trained and understand what needs to be done if a user loses the phone that they have been using for passwordless authentication. So it's more of a recognition of the challenges and then preparation for what is to come, but it's for the greater good. And how does passwordless authentication look like? So it's very important to start with actually looking at what does the authentication look like when we do it with MFA or multi-factor authentication. So we start with the user on the left-hand side, and the user wants to get into application that is on the right-hand side. So to do that, a user needs to put in his or her password and username, and then authenticate themselves either on a phone or a YubiKey to get into application. Now, if we are to remove password from this flow, this is what the authentication would actually look like, right? So we would, instead of 2 steps, we would only have 1 step. And that would make actually the whole authentication process less secure rather than more secure. And we talked about passwordless being more secure. So what does passwordless actually look like? So this is the authentication flow with passwordless. So we have, user, and again, we have either Touch ID or Face ID to confirm identity. That unlocks the phone or, unlocks the YubiKey. So this is the second step where we actually confirm our identity again before we are granted access to the application. So we can see that we have 2 steps there, or 2 factors. Something you are and something that you have. But Duo's passwordless combines the 2 steps into 1 single step. So actually everything that you do is in 1 single gesture, but there are 2 things that are happening in the background. So this is the sort of the smooth, frictionless authentication of the future. And what is our passwordless vision? So our mantra is basically to make things as easy as possible for both IT admins and for the users. So because of that, we are providing passwordless for SSO, single sign-on, on all Duo editions, so Duo MFA, Duo Access, and Duo Beyond. Licensing is simple. There are no hidden fees. We just want to make sure that we have helped you kickstart your passwordless journey. Another thing is basically the ease of deployment and use. So configuration is fast. We also recognize the fact that companies are have different histories, they're at different stages, and because of that, there needs to be a phased rollout for some companies. So you may want to decide that you want to enable passwordless for a set users, set groups of users, set of applications, etc. So it's up to you to decide how you play this. You can take incremental steps towards passwordless. We also want to make it work on any device because we recognize that people use a variety of devices, corporate devices, personal devices, etc. So we'll make that registration easy for you. And we want to make sure that everything is seamless and secure. So we have been working with a number of identity providers that provide single sign-on or SSO solutions. So you can use Duo's SSO solutions that integrate with Duo's Passwordless, or someone else's third party. There is a smooth integration. So it depends. It's entirely up to you. We also want to make sure that basically everything happens in one environment. So irrespective of whether you use someone else's SSO or Duo's SSO. And we recognize that sometimes things don't go to plan. So if, for example, something isn't working, there is always secure fallback for to MFA. So if you have a passwordless solution, we wouldn't make that fallback on sort of traditional username and password because we want to maintain the level of security that you had. And we also want to make sure that there is a holistic approach to security, and I'll be talking about that a little bit later. So let's take a look at what passwordless experience actually looks like. So let's start with enrollment. We mentioned that you can actually enroll any number of devices that you want to use for passwordless. So this is the process that you would take if you were to do that. So let's just imagine a specific situation, daily situation. You want to access Salesforce. So you click on the application, and then you put your name, username, and click next. Put your password in. This is the last time you'll be putting in password. And then you receive Duo prompt if you are doing authentication via Duo push. And once you press OK, you land on this screen. So you have an option of turning passwordless login or skipping. So let's say that you decide to proceed. So you press turn on passwordless login. And then you can decide what you want to set up. Do a mobile app, Windows Hello, or security key. In this demo, we'll be setting up Windows Hello. So you click Windows Hello, look to the camera, smile, and you are in. Now, when you do that step, and when you press Windows Hello, there is a security key that actually is created on your device. This is your private key, and this will help you, decrypt the messages and open. So now you are enrolled. We can go to authentication process. So same scenario, you click Salesforce application, put your username in, click next, but hey, password has been removed. So you go straight to Windows Hello, look at the camera recognizes you and lets you in, and you are in. So both things happened in one single step. So we have an internal joke that this is the shortest demo that you have seen. It feels like a little bit of a non-event, but it's here for a purpose. It's about, that smooth authentication process. And lastly, I would just like to wrap up with a final section about, other steps to improve access security. So we recognize that improving access security needs more than just passwordless. Passwordless is the right step in the right direction, but there is actually much more. There are many more capabilities that you need to keep secure. And we'll touch on those very quickly. But let's take a look at the current situation and how you're logging in. So typically, people log in using their username plus password and plus MFA, right? So we hope that MFA is in place, but yeah, this is the typical login process. And now with Passwordless, you're moving in the right direction because you are actually removing 2 steps, or 2 steps happen in one, right? So you're reducing friction, making it faster, easier for users, and more secure. And then you can further reduce authentication with single sign-on, right? With federating applications. So you actually log in with Passwordless and you get access to a few applications at the same time. But because you have removed that shared secret that you had, or a password, you want to make sure that you're maintaining the level of security. And in order to do that, you could do that with Duo's device trust. It's a feature that basically enables you to check security posture of your device. So has the screen lock been enabled, or do you have the latest operating system on? So you can determine what that is, but it's basically ensuring that device that users are using to log in is as secure as possible to make sure that no malware gets in. And then the last step is basically making sure that you are actually monitoring that risk continuously, because we recognize that situation changes. Sometimes users are logging in and they are logging in with new device, they are logging in from new location or unusual location for them, etc. So you want to make sure that you are dynamically responding to this situation and that you are either revoking trust, or making them authenticate again if you think that there is a risk event or there is something unusual happening, or if you trust their connection, if they are using authorized network and the laptop that you have registered, then you may want to trust the device for a certain amount of time. So these are the key features that I suppose I wanted to flag that are important as a sort of part of the holistic security. But with that, I would like to wrap up the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any further questions about any of these, and especially Passwordless, Kieran and colleagues at CommSec are here to help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Slavka. That was fantastic, and I really like the idea of the smooth authentication process. I suppose historically we've seen IT security, the more secure it is, often the more cumbersome the ease of use can be. But it's great to see Passwordless is beginning to really mature. And just in terms of the solution, if anybody is interested in seeing a one-to-one demonstration and seeing how Passwordless can assist in your business organization, we would be more than happy to provide that for you. So please do feel free to get in touch at the email sales@commsec.ie. So thanks again. I would like to finish with a big thank you to Slavka and to each attendee here today. Please keep an eye on your inbox for the recording link to share with your teams. And we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Take care.
Thank you.